welcome back. I'm Amy, I do Disney travel vlogs, I'll link the last ones down below, and also other travel vlogs. I've recently got back from a P&O Iona 7-night Norwegian fjords cruise, and this video is all about the dining on board Iona. If you haven't seen the previous vlogs, I'll link those down below so you can catch up. But I'm going to talk about all the restaurants and all the places that you can eat on board that we experienced and some that we didn't experience, etc. As you know, I overthink everything, so I've got everything written down because I'll just ramble otherwise. We don't want that. We've been back a while now, so I've had time to think about these reviews and what we liked, what we didn't like, etc. So this is just talking about my experience on that one cruise. First of all, let's talk about the dining that is included. I'll insert some clips, etc. as I talk so you can see the food that we had in these restaurants. So first of all, let's talk about the main dining room. There are 4 main dining rooms on board, and those are Coral, Opal, Aqua and Pearl. Now they're located in different places. Coral is on deck 7. Opal, Aqua and Pearl are all on deck 6. Coral and Pearl are right at the rear of the ship, and they are the two, they're above each other, and they have the big glass windows at the back. Great views out across the back of the ship and the wake, etc. Very, very pretty. Those 2 dining rooms, because of those big windows, they feel very, very light and airy compared to, for example, the Aqua dining room, which I'll also insert. You can see that they have a very different ambience. The Aqua one, because it didn't have the big open windows, it did have windows you could see outside. It felt a lot darker and it felt more intimate. It was a lot smaller than the big dining rooms at the rear of the ship. And I guess Opal would have been the same as well. It would have had the same type of feeling, just with different decor. They're pretty much opposite each other on deck 6. We tried the main dining room, so we went to the Coral one mostly. That kind of was our favourite. I did try the Pearl one for lunch, and that was okay. I think we preferred the decoration and how it felt in the Coral dining room. So we did breakfast, and I'll show you the breakfast menu that was there, and we also did dinner a couple of evenings as well. We only really had one bad experience where a waiter took our order and then nothing happened, but it was soon resolved. As soon as you speak to somebody and say, we're having a problem, our food hasn't arrived, etc., they were very, very fast to resolve that. But that was kind of the only bad experience that we had service-wise. Now, if you'd eaten out as many times as we did, like at restaurants in England, you'd probably get bad service or something would go wrong at some point as well in the number of times we ate. Coral dining room, so that's the upper of the 2, that's up on deck 7, was our favourite of the main dining room spaces. And it was always super quick and efficient to get seated. Now, you can see from the food as well that we had more than one starter on more than one occasion. They are happy for you to order what you like. If you look at the menu and you think, I don't fancy a main, I just would like a couple of starters instead, that's absolutely fine. Just ask. Or if you think, I can't decide on the starter and I'd like to try something a bit different but I'm not sure, then get 2 starters. It's not a problem. I mean, on one occasion I think we had 2 starters and then we had another starter come with our main where we had extra calamari. Ask. They are more than happy for you to do that. Same with the mains as well. I think if there were 2 of you and you wanted to split 3 mains, that probably wouldn't be an issue. And likewise with desserts, they seem to want us to eat ice cream on one particular day, like maybe they had an abundance of ice cream, who knows. But they were pushing eat ice cream as well as the desserts. So we had 2 desserts as well. We ate an awful lot. But the food was excellent quality. I would say, given that the food is mass produced, because it is, let's face it, they've got so many people to feed every single day, the food quality was, I would say, fantastic for what it was. It was never cold, it was never, dry, overcooked, or any of those things. There was never anything wrong with the food. We thoroughly enjoyed the food we got in the main dining rooms, and the breakfast, we actually found the breakfast in the main dining room was better than going to the buffet. The buffet's great if you can pick and choose what you want, etc. But you can do that on the main dining room breakfast menu as well, and they had things on there that you couldn't get in the buffet, like eggs Benedict, for example. So we'd got into the habit of eggs Benedict, 2 eggs Benedicts, sausage, hash browns, mushrooms, any other extra bits that you wanted to go with it. And they would just make your breakfast for you. They would, compile what looked like a meal on its own and then added bits on top of it. It was absolutely fine, and you'll see in the clips I've shown that we did that quite frequently. The main dining rooms can get busy. If you want quieter dining, you're probably going to want to be in one of the specialty restaurants, to be honest, to experience a quieter place, or go later when the rush, the 6 till 7, half 7 rush has been. I think that's the only way you're going to be able to get a more relaxed experience. And we did have breakfast later on a couple of days in the main dining room, and we found that it was so much quieter. And obviously they're tidying up from the people who have eaten, etc. So there are people bustling around, but it's not as hectic. Maybe that's something to consider if you prefer to eat in a quieter place. I also tried the Horizon Buffet. I'll insert the video clips from that. We had it for lunch on the first day, breakfast, and we did go up there for an evening meal and have a look, but we didn't eat on the evening meal. I also went up for the late bites, which was a full-on Indian curry spread, and I did try that in the video, and the food was honestly fantastic. The quality of the food that they put out, I think, for the price you're paying, is pretty good, to be honest. You'd be hard pushed to get a holiday in an all-inclusive resort with that quality of food for the same price, I think, in the number of days. And obviously you're on a cruise and you're going to different locations every day, so there's a little bit of a bonus. But the food was fantastic. The selection available in the Horizon Buffet was pretty good as well. There was something for everybody in there, and they obviously catered towards children as well. Adults can obviously have the children's food. You don't have to ignore it. If you want chicken and nuggets, go for it. Get chicken and nuggets. Nobody cares. Just eat what you want to eat. And also, if there was something that, when they do the breakfast in the morning, they don't put mushrooms out. If you want the mushrooms, just ask and they'll get you some mushrooms. They have those items, but they don't necessarily always put everything out. So if you can't see it and it fits with the type of food that's there, just ask. I mean, what's the worst case? They can say, no, we don't have it. It's fine. But the Horizon Buffet, you can get your tea and coffee, your water. In the morning they have juices as well. Now we found that the juices were watered down juices from the machine, whereas in the main dining room it was either less watered down or pure juice. It was kind of hard to tell, but there was a difference in the juices, etc. The Horizon Buffet as well, as you can imagine, can get extremely hectic. People all over the place. It can be quite overwhelming, and I certainly felt that it was overwhelming. When I was trying to film, hold a plate, it just wasn't going to work. So I often filmed and then ate, or did it the other way round. I couldn't really do it at the same time. If you want to kind of try and be a bit quieter, be in a bit of a quieter area in the Horizon Buffet, in my clips I mentioned there are 2 sections to the buffet area, and if you walk past the first one, keep going, there is a second station, and that has exactly the same food as on the other one. They kind of work, so you've got 2 sections and then mirrored on each side, so you've got the same set of food twice on each section. Now go past the second section, find yourself a table over there, and you'll find that the second section is generally quieter, because it's a typical thing that people go, oh, the food's here, and they start getting their food rather than walking to the next one to see what else there is. So top tip, do that. We often found it was a lot quieter near the back, especially on the first couple of days, as people hadn't figured out to go to the back, if that makes sense. Unless you've been on the ship before, it's a bit of an unknown. You're just doing what everybody else is doing. So nice tip for you. We also went to the Quays. Again, is an included food area, and that was set up as 3 different stores. So you had like a fish and chip store, an Asian store, and then you had like an American food store, so that each day what they served changed, and what they served at obviously breakfast, lunch, dinner changed as well, but it was always themed to those things. So the fish and chips bit tended to be the same most days. In the morning, the breakfast obviously was different. The Asian restaurant booth, that tended to have Thai or Chinese style food, and then the American one tended to have your burgers or your fried chicken and chips. In the morning, that was where you had like the make your own breakfast, but the others had like the breakfast roll or omelette station, those types of things. It was really good. The only problem we found with the Quays was when it was busy, it was really hard to find somewhere to sit. You kind of had to be right on it. As soon as somebody got up from their seat, you needed to be sat down. If you were in there at the busiest times, which unfortunately that's what we found happened to us a couple of occasions. We did have one occasion where it was a lot quieter and we managed to get a seat straight away, but bear in mind it can be busy, and there are generally queues for each station for you to get your food as well. So if you're absolutely starving, maybe go to the buffet or something like that and come back. The food again was great. There was nothing wrong with the food at all. We had some fantastic food from the Quays as well. The other area on the ship that has included food was Taste 360. Now that's in the Sky Dome, and I did get a clip of the food, so I'll insert that. And you'll see it's like chicken nuggets, hot dogs, a pasta, pizza. I'm going to say it's more kid-orientated food. It's those classics that children will eat. But if you're an adult, it doesn't matter. Go and get what you want. If you want to eat something from there, do it. It all looked lovely. It's just we were always full by the time we made it into the Sky Dome. But the food looked great. It certainly smelled great. And it obviously was very popular because quite often there wasn't a lot left every time we went through. That seemed to be a popular place for families, especially with small children and things like that. And the Sky Dome is lovely with the glass roof and everything as well. The other places we tried, which were surcharge or not surcharge but bookable. So for example, we ate at the chef's table. That was an included option, but you had to book it before you went. So we booked that online in the P&O My Booking website, and we had a fantastic meal. I think my expectations, given some of the things I'd seen people say online about it, like, oh, it's just an extended part of the buffet. It is, they basically section off a part of the buffet for you to eat, but you're not eating buffet food. We have fantastic food. I had a beef Wellington there, which was, quite frankly, really, really good. If you know how difficult it is to cook beef Wellington and make it nice, sometimes it's really tricky. So I thought they did a really fantastic job of the chef's table experience. And you're not sat right next to everybody who's eating in the buffet, so there's not the hustle and bustle of the buffet either. You're like on one side of the ship and the buffet is open on the other side. That I found was great. We had a 3-course meal. I'll put the clip in and the menu, etc. That was a included thing, but you had to book it before. I would highly recommend that you go and do that. It was a great experience, and because we were the first sitting, when we got there, all of the chefs were all lined up and waving, etc. It felt really special, to be honest. It certainly was different. We didn't get that experience at any of the other restaurants throughout the trip. So I would recommend going to do the chef's table if you can book it. The other 3 places that we booked, they were a surcharge. We ate at the Beach House, which is on deck 16. It is a surcharge. I'll insert here how much it was, but my memory is not great. And what that meant was that basically paid for your table. And then when you look at the menu, which I'll insert, you can see there are items on there which are a surcharge above that. So if you didn't choose any of those extra surcharge items, what you paid when you booked would be all that you paid. Okay, now I had the steak, the lava rock steak with prawns, which was a surcharge. Now unfortunately for me, because of the allergies and food sensitivities I didn't really have a lot of options from the menu, but I probably would have gone for the steak anyway. That's my kind of thing. And as you can see in the video, the steak was huge. I had to cut it in half to cook it a bit more. I like my steak medium rare, and I was finding it wasn't quite doing it enough because it was so thick. So the food in the beach house was great. I know Laura had a really great meal. She really liked her meal as well. And we were sat right next to the window and it was lovely. That was on our first night when we were sailing out of Southampton. So it was really nice. I would recommend the beach house. Have a look at the menu though, because the menu is limited. Now they are all limited in all the different restaurants. It's not like the restaurants on land, unfortunately. So I think you really need to pick your restaurants based on the menus and what you want to eat and the things that you like. Beach house was a surcharge, and I paid an extra surcharge for the items that I ordered above that. We also went to the Epicurean, which is on deck 17. Now the Epicurean is the fanciest restaurant on the ship, okay? And that was a surcharge to book. You paid that when you booked online on the My P&O website. That was it was advertised as a 3-course meal, and you'll see from the video that I'll put in, it wasn't a 3-course meal, it was more, because you had pre-starter, starter, a bread course, a main, a pre-dessert, a dessert, a tea and coffee, a drink, cheese. It kind of just went on and on and on. You could have had 7 courses by the time you'd finish. And I thought for £30 per person, it was really good value. The food was great. Now I did hear people say that they didn't have such a great experience, but when I talked to these people, they went at a later sitting. So I don't know if that had a bearing on the food quality or the atmosphere or anything like that. I'm not sure. We were on the early sitting, so we were at 6:15. Most of our food reservations were between 6 and 6:30 each evening. So we were in there fairly early, literally as they opened pretty much. Now we had a fantastic experience. They went out of their way, because me and Laura don't drink alcohol, they went out of their way to get us soft drinks, which had to come from a different restaurant. And then Laura wanted hot chocolate at the end, which they poured from a teapot, which was hilarious. But they went out of their way to get the things that we had asked for, and service counts for everything. It really does. The waitress who looked after us was fantastic. We had a great experience in here, and I would say it really was worth the £30. The other place we ate, which was a surcharge, was Sindhu. Now with Sindhu you paid an amount when you booked online. I can't remember what that is. I'll insert it here. And that amount was deducted from the choices you made. So everything on their menu had a cost, and they just took off what you had prepaid off against it, and then anything that you ordered that was over that you then paid for on your bill. Now with all the things that you have to pay for, that all goes onto effectively you're charging it to your room like you are in a hotel. You're charging it to your cabin, gets paid off on your last day, and you get an itemised sheet, etc. And if I pop mine in, you'll see I had a few little charges on there, not anything major. But Sindhu, I thought, if you like Indian food, now it was a bit of an Indian fusion, I'd say. It was great, really, really tasty food. Be aware that all of the food has a minimum level of spice. There isn't anything on the menu that isn't slightly spicy. I thought the food was fantastic. We had loads of food. It kind of just felt like it just kept coming and coming, because you get naan breads, you get rice, you get dal, you get vegetables. On top of the things that you've ordered as well. Those are like accompaniments that come with every table. And it was an excessive amount of food. And we also didn't have a dessert because we were so full from what we ate. We didn't feel like we needed that. And also we had to rush off the headliners, and if you've watched the videos, you know. I would recommend Sindhu. If you like Indian fusion style food, it would be right up your street. And I thought it was fancy, but it wasn't over fancy. To be fair, Epicurean, although that was fancy, we didn't feel uncomfortable or anything like that in the restaurant either. The other restaurants that we didn't go to, So you've got Keel Cow, Olive Grove and the Glass House. We looked at Keel Cow the one evening because we didn't have anywhere to go, and we figured by the time, because you have to pay for the items on the menu, it's not a bookable before you get on ship restaurant. You book in the website that you have access to whilst you're on board, and you pay for what, you know, each course that you choose. And honestly, it felt a bit like by the time we had a 3-course meal, we'd be paying Epicurean prices. So we just decided not to bother and we went to a different restaurant instead. But the menu did look great. It just wasn't something that we wanted to do, you know, on the evening that we had the opportunity to look at it. There was also the Olive Grove, and I did do a little clip of the menu. We didn't eat in the Olive Grove, but we did get a look. There aren't enough days, enough meals to eat in every single restaurant, but I think if we went back on Iona, I would go and eat in the Olive Grove. Also, there was the Glass House as well, which was in the atrium. We just didn't get enough time, to be honest, to even consider what was there. There's a lot of places that you can eat, a lot of things. Obviously you can eat in your room as well. I'll insert the clip of what you can order to your room for the different meals that you can have, and you can order 24/7 pretty much into your room as well. Now there's a surcharge for depending on the time of day you order and what you order, etc. It says on the menu. Honestly, there's so many places to eat. You could literally eat 24/7 if you wanted to. And you know, some people who are absolute foodies might want to do that, might want to go and taste a bit of every single thing. We tried to do as much as we could in the time that we had and still enjoy the cruise and get off the ship. Honestly, the food was great, the drinks, etc. were fantastic. We didn't have a drinks package because we don't drink alcohol, and I don't drink fizzy drinks, and it just wasn't worth it for the types of drinks that we would have. So that wasn't an option for us really. But you could have a drinks package as well, and then you get your drinks in the restaurants. Every time you had to pay for anything, you give them your cruise card and they'll attach it to your room. That's how that works. Rating of the restaurants. It's really tough because they were all great. But I would say that the best meal I had on board was probably from the beach house. The steak and the prawns, etc. on the hot stone were really, really nice. I did have a fillet steak in the Epicurean as well, and while that was really lovely, I don't know, it just wasn't quite the same. I don't know, but I think Epicurean is a close second. Obviously, we have more fancy food on a whole, but if I'm just rating one dish, it would be the beach house. An overall experience, Epicurean wins hand down. But honestly, nowhere on the ship looked horrible, or there was nothing on board that I thought, oh, that's vile, I'm never going to eat in there. None of that. Every single place had great food on offer, and I would recommend you go and try them all. Now, if you're wondering what all these restaurants, etc. look like or where they all are, I have done a full ship walkthrough, and it is a full ship walkthrough. Maybe watch it in ×2 speed or something like that, but I'll link that down below so you can go and see where all these restaurants, etc. are as well, if that's something that you'd like to do. That's my food review. I thought, on the whole, absolutely fantastic food, and I would recommend Iona to other people. The cost, etc. makes it a really reasonable trip to take. Thank you for watching my videos. It's been fantastic, the amount of comments, etc. I've had from people. I love getting comments. Please tell me what you want me to film next or talk about, or any hints and tips, etc. you might think I can give you. I will try my best to do. Now, there are more travels coming very, very soon, so please keep an eye out for those videos. But thank you for watching. Like, subscribe for all the good stuff.